Hi friends, it's Oz here at Kctvmedia.com. What if the truth is out there? Well, 25 years ago, I came to know the Lord on a motorway in Britain, on the M5 up by junction 6 at Worcester. If you want to know my testimony, go into the British zone and look for the heading, The Power Behind the Wheel. I tell you, my life changed completely after that day. Lots of things happened in a very short period of time. I won't go into all the ins and outs because I have written it out for people to have a look at on the British zone. So there you go. Now, the reason for coming today and sharing this is because we will have some new headers on this front page. And I do want to say that the most important thing I want you to know is that we hope, and this is written on the front page here, we hope the information on this website helps many to know that there is a Creator God who wants to have a personal relationship with you. He wants us all to walk and talk with him every day. Over time of thousands of years, since time and creation began, God had always been in complete control of his creation, earth and heavenly planets. God has chosen his people to be in his love letter so he can share his supernatural events for our own personal testimonies to be known. In faith, we have the opportunity to read what the book of Genesis shares in God's prophetic word today. We also read his story, which happens to lead us into the future by reading the book of Revelations. Amazingly, this explains the end times we're in today. Friends, if you'd have asked me 25 years ago, I would be sharing this kind of information out on a little website and other websites of friends, I would have looked at you and would have thought you're off your trolley. Okay, we've got that bit out the way. But I want you to read the testimony, because you see, the testimony that we all have is given to us, and you have a testimony to share. You've been through lots of different things in your life, and I think that people will start to realize that they need help when they get depressed. And there's a lot of depressed people out there who need to know the God's alongside them. Now, on this website, you're going to come across lots of interesting stories, and we're not really a church website. We do meet online, and we do have a lot of people that would like to join us, but unfortunately at this moment in time we do not have the finances to go in that direction. However, if you go into youtube.com/Kctvmedia, okay, you'll see a lot of videos that have been recorded for you. And thankfully, I've also, in the last 10 years of reporting the news behind the news, we have come alongside some very interesting people. One of the most special ones out of the lot is my friend, the Reverend Peter Scudden, who, yes, is 88 years old, and yes, his body, like everybody else's, I suppose you could say, needs a rest. And he's really kind of out of the ministry side of things now, but we have a lot of material that the Lord has shown us to record so that you can see what Peter was doing and has been doing for 35-40 odd years. I think probably if you go into the story of a lesser man, which will be on Peter's website at peterscuddenministries.co.uk, you'll get some idea of what this man over that period of time has been up to. And I can tell you, we've had some right laughs as well. But really, at this time, with everything happening in and around Israel, I do want you to go into a particular part of our website, which is, if you can just see this cursor, will take you down to just below Menu plus News Archives. Now, in this particular section below, I'll bring the camera up here so you can get some idea what's going on. We do cover a lot of headings. We cover about the Nephilim, UFOs, aliens, abductees, supernatural insights, Area 51, CERN news updated, certainly religious festivals, and not all of them, well, you'll find out to see they're not all cracked out what they're supposed to be. Now, in the Israel zone, you'll see there Synagogue of Satan, 6-day war, miracles, and so on. Please look at this particular session and section, because you'll find the information extremely helpful to what is happening in the Middle East today and what has happened over a period of 2,600 years. It's incredible to realize that people today are part of a conspiracy that started back 2,600 years ago. Incredible times we're living in. David Icke gets a mention. Yes, there's a few things that David mentions I can totally agree with, especially on the shape-shifting stuff, because I've personally had an encounter with a Christian in a Christian company, a media company, who literally manifested and changed into something else. And I do share about that if you want to go through our back office, as it were, because I felt these things are so important. And yes, people look at you and think you're mad, but the reality is God allows people to come into your life to prove them otherwise, and that is the occasion that I share a bit later on. Joseph of Arimathea. This is in the British zone, because Britain in the Hebrew language basically means a covenant people, a covenant land, and that actually may well tell you a little bit about where the folk from this island come from, because we've all been on a walk, and we still are on a walk spiritually and physically. Some people have come from the Middle East to work in this country, and some have gone back to Poland and so on. You get my drift? So, a long time ago, there were some interesting carrying-ons down in Cornwall, where Joseph of Arimathea came and brought his relation, the boy Jesus, when he used to come to these isles. And no doubt he travelled not just in Cornwall, but he may well have gone to Wales, Northern England, even possibly over to Ireland, where it's said 600 or 700 years before all of that happened, Jeremiah was living with his family. So there's a lot of stuff that we share here, which we do have support to show that these things may well have happened. So we are aware of the supernatural, and we're aware that 7 new planets have come into the solar system only recently. But if you go on to Planet X and so on, and the updates that are there, they will cover that particular area as well. So there's a lot happening. Did you know that there were miracles happening in the Second World War? Dunkirk was a miracle. Brexit could well be a miracle, because God is in charge, and he's already made it known to his people what is really going on. An area that I should talk about briefly is the weather we have today. Did you know that possibly, and I'm talking about right now, we are going through a pole shift? That's where the Arctic pole has split into two. Hence the reason we are getting some very interesting weather across Europe, and the beast from the east, they are saying, will be coming in shortly. Well, a lot of more in touch people than I are aware that the pole shift is going to affect the south as well. Hence the reason why they've had snow in the Sahara and in other places where normally it's very warm, including Hawaii. Sorry, I've got a bit of a dry sense of humour sometimes, and it does show itself. But I want you to enjoy the information that you see in front of you. We do cover a lot of major news topics, and I know this to be true. The Lord, when he was here 2,000 years ago, would say, my people perish for lack of knowledge. That's in Hosea 6 verses 4 to 10. So if you're a wise man, you want to find out about these things that people have no idea on what they're about. A chap called L.A. Mazzulli, 40 odd years ago, started or had an interest in skulls, and he covers a huge subject called the giants, and there's a few other people that have joined him, and it's good to see that we are able to provide information that people can see for themselves, because there has been a lot of information shared which needs to be discussed openly. Hence the reason I'm just tapping through here so you can see what's happening. Now this is the pole shift news, shocking and unbelievable. This is last year. Following on from this, in-depth information on Planet X. I would suggest that you come across and listen to this lady's testimony. She was once in MI6, incredible woman, one of my personal friends, and she passed away in May 2017. Sadly missed. And we also have our own take on the X-Files, which is worth having a look at. So we do have a lot of varied information, including maps, okay, going back to the Anglo-Saxons, the heritage, the history of, and of course many people watching this will not know about the reformation of Israel. And this is important because unless you know your history, you won't know your future. Does anyone really know what's happening down in Antarctica? Well, I say this particular gentleman here, Steve Quell, has written a book called The Empire Beneath the Ice, worth getting your hands on, and also the DVD. Friends, I think probably there is so much here that you could look at. It will keep you busy for some time. These lies that people have shared, and the truth must come out. Again, Glastonbury is one place which we've visited many a time and filmed there. Little documentary that we had chance to put together. I shall never forget it, and is that there's a possibility that we may well have a third world war at some point, and we need to know why that's going to happen, because this is information which again has been shared in Revelations, and it's a part of the Bible which I would urge you to read. I would say never be scared of saying what's in your heart and doing what is right. Look forward to